I gotta pull up the YouTube so I have chat.
T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Fuck you, Westport!
Oh, rookie. Yeah, what's up, everybody? Back with another edition of the Best Grow Show. And sorry about that little button malfunction there. I now have a mouse to replace my failing me trackpad, but I had to make it to the ending because today's guest is Spartan Grown, and he is wearing the official hat of the Michigan Spartans, state capital, their football team. Whereas I grew up a Wolverine fan. So
I'm right in between the two, man. I'm right in between the two. Half hour one way, I'm in Ann Arbor where the Wolverines rule. Half hour north of me though, I'm in Lansing, and that's where the Spartans are.
That's where the Spartans are. This is Sparta. No. I had to make sure I got that one in there, though. I had a fourth grade teacher who was an alumni. He was a Wolverine, and like one of our projects, and I still remember like the first half of the Michigan fight song, because that was like our big assignment, and we had to do it at the school assembly. So yeah, I was indoctrinated as a Wolverine at a young age.
My father graduated from MSU, so I too know the fight song, but of the Michigan State Spartans. And fun fact, the high school I went to, which is a little small high school in the country called Stockbridge, they have the same exact fight song as Michigan State. They just change a few words to, but the music's the same, and I was in the marching band, so I learned the song, and so yeah, I was pretty indoctrinated with the whole thing myself.
Yeah, so I went out and talked to some Wolverine fans this weekend, and 9 out of 10, well, they do agree this is the Best Grow Show. So and they said, you know what, love the Spartans too. We're all from Michigan. We are one. So we'll agree to agree.
I love
Disagree?
that. I love that.
So, dude, thank you again for making time to come and hang out. I know a lot of people in the chat are probably familiar. What's up, everybody in chat? It's good to see you guys today. But a lot of people are familiar with
chat. I can't even. I'm trying to keep up. Say hi to everybody. They're saying such awesome things. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. I wish I could tag every one of you and say thank you, but my fingers are not moving fast enough today.
Yes, I know. It's like I see sometimes in chat, and I try to reply, but I'm not always the best, especially when I'm kind of just doing the talking, because I can chew gum and walk at the same time, but the whole like belly rub. Actually, check me out right now.
That's very impressive.
That is. I'm gonna clip that and send it to the shorts.
You're like, proof, I can do it.
Yes. Now chew gum and do that. But now people want to hear us talk about cannabis, not our weird, freaky skills, I guess. So, like I was saying though, you have been around, for many years, helping people grow, and it's cool because you have perspective. You have perspective from commercial perspective, you have like a medicinal grower perspective, and you have home grower perspective as well, and that really helps get you a big picture. But there's probably some things that, as like a commercial grower, that doesn't necessarily apply to home growers, and sometimes home growers look to commercial growers and try to mimic that. So is there anything just like off the top of your head, like routines or SOPs that, yeah, for commercial, but maybe not so for home grow, or vice versa? Is there anything that comes to mind there?
I think it's really yeah, and I think it's mostly for scale. And maybe some home growers will say, "Hey, I grow, X amount of plants, and that's the same as commercial." Well, yeah. So when we're talking commercial versus home grow, let's just talk scale. Let's just say, yeah, the larger scale. And I feel that even in the best large scale facilities, one of their biggest costs is labor. And because that's the fact, they tend to have less labor to save money. And when you do that, you have less time per plant, per person, where that's the home grow, I think, really excels. It's like, yeah, you don't have a large scale, but you might still spend an hour watering your plants, where the commercial guy's watering 10 times the amount of plants in that same amount of time, but like giving each plant a glance, and that's it. Not each plant a good look over, maybe take a few leaves off or whatever the gardener's doing. And I think that's a huge, in the end, every day of that, by the end of the grow, and even beyond, when you're drying and curing and all that, that personal attention per plant is why you tend to have the higher quality at the home grow level than you would at the larger. And I'm not saying I'm saying you could use that same gardener. Maybe they can go to the work and go work at a commercial grow, and their home quality is probably still going to be better because they have that extra time with the plant per plant. And you catch things earlier. Just so many benefits to being able to spend a little bit of time with a plant.
It's a really good point. And, watering is one thing that we always talk about here. And actually, you were on a Just One Thing. Actually, I think it was like episode 2 about, how to watering properly. And actually, you inspired me. Like, I forgot about this. And like, I went back afterwards and I bought my set of measuring cups again.
Oh, I
because
love
for
it.
like clones and for seedlings, I mean, you can always wing it. But when you have something like this, or you got your milliliters on this side, you know exactly how much water is going in, you know how much it's drinking. You can manipulate a lot of things if you know precisely what you're doing. So that was one thing you brought up on that show, which was awesome.
Thank you. And that's an easy thing. Yeah. I mean, and I just have like a half-gallon one that is like I think it's a 2,000 milliliter. And then I have another one that goes, no, the 2,000 is a quarter gallon, I believe. And then I have the next one that's a half gallon, and I love that. That's anything I need for at home. I'm not gonna water much more than a gallon per plant.
Yep. And to back to the point of like commercial versus a home grow, it's funny when you said, you could take an hour or scale size. That is really the appropriate way to frame this. It's funny. I do spend about an hour watering the few things here, whereas a room of over like 600 plants, probably about the same amount of time watering. So it's kind of crazy in that aspect. But like you said, one is I'm sitting there, there were 6 per bed. I'm sitting there with a wand, and I'm sitting here with a stopwatch. Okay, time's up. Next. Okay, time's up. Next.
Yep.
Whereas at home, if I'm not using the measuring cups, which once they get mature, I tend to not use them anymore.
Yep.
But I give it enough water to where I think it's about saturated, and then I wait. and then I'll add a little bit more, and then maybe I'll get a little runoff, and I'm like, okay, I could give it this much more, or I stop. So that's why it takes so much longer at home, but I'm also not flooding that root zone in the same way.
Yep. And that's the same way I do. I love that. That's the same. That's a good description of it. Yeah, you're getting it to field capacity, and then giving it a little bit more, because once you see a little tiny bit of runoff, you know, okay, I've got it past field capacity. We're there.
Yeah, exactly. And field capacity, for everybody, is basically, field capacity is the point where gravity is pulling the water out, because you have roots, capillary action trying to bring it back up. You got gravity trying to bring it down, and once it hits field capacity, yeah, it's not going to take anymore. So that's when you stop watering. Now, another thing too is, organic type of soils, living soils, they like it a bit wetter. They don't really do the drybacks, but commercially versus, or, large scale versus like a medicinal level, which I always tend to say is like a mid scale. It's not quite commercial, 100 liter, but it's not quite 2 4x4s either. It's a little bit in between.
Okay. I would say craft scale. Craft scale.
There we go. Craft scale. Yes, that's a good term to apply to it. So, growing styles too, commercial or larger scale. Well, actually, commercially, feeding versus like a craft style. Did you see much of a difference there? And was there any, thought behind that?
I haven't had the pleasure of ever working in a commercial facility growing organically. And I have a feeling that that's different. I think that's a different thing. I think maybe the answer might have been that it's quite the same, because that's the way I choose to grow at home. So for me, at the commercial level, we were growing with salts, and so that's a huge change. It's a huge change, a huge mindset change as well. And but I will say that I felt like, and maybe it was unique to the facility I worked at, I don't know, but I felt like it was still chased. And I think it was because it was caregivers, that everybody that worked there were ex-caregivers in Michigan before we started working there. And so it was ran nutritionally the same way. It was like if someone said, here's the keys to the grow store. We'll pay for whatever you want in there if you can grow the best freaking weed you can grow. And it was like, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to try, this line. We're going to try that line. We're going to try this line, until we settled upon something that worked great for us. And it was fun to be part of that process from the beginning. They had one room built out when I started there. I was the third employee hired. So it was fun to be part of that build out, and to build out all the rooms, and to run through all the nutrients and land on the ones that they were using at the end, and playing with that even, and maybe bringing in something else, and just testing different theories. That was the funnest. That was the funnest to me. And now I imagine now working there, a lot of that doesn't happen as much, but I'm sure they're still doing things like bringing new strains in there, and maybe some new technology as far as lighting concerned, or maybe dehues or HVAC, all of that stuff. There's still that at a commercial level. You have the pocketbooks to try these different technologies in your large scale, and you can still, even in this tough market, you can still kind of near the end of the year for tax write-offs and stuff say, okay, we had some profits, we can put that into trying to improve the place. And if we're going to improve it, let's try something new. Let's try something that we can maybe improve our way to grow, like a controller or a new fan or whatever that might be. And I always thought that was cool, because I felt like we were pushing innovation, pushing the cutting edge of grow technology, just by being willing to try things. I mean, we had a fan company that was local that made fans for other industries, commercial industries. They're called Agro Fans, out of Jackson, Michigan, where I live. And I didn't even know they existed. And they were built heavy duty, all steel fans. And they came in there with these air meters. And I would be talking to these guys. I'd be like, what's this show? Okay. And they said, this is the way you think that air would move this way in the room, but no, it's better if it moves this way. And it was really cool to see that data, and to see the stuff from another industry applied to ours. And taken seriously, like, hey, they're taking it serious, that we're actually trying to do something here. And it was cool to be part of those kinds of things, I thought. And so I think that's still the case, probably. you know, in some of these commercial facilities where they're pushing innovation.
And pushing the innovation is the important part too, because a lot of these facilities, the goal is to get, you know, the SOPs, the standard operating procedures. And you
Right.
were kind of at the fun part where they were trial and error, because a lot of big growing, a lot of stepping up to the next size is trial and error. Because as we said at the top, not everything translates over. I always joke about a 20,000 square foot room with Clippy fans all over the place. It's not going to work.
Right, right.
So it's cool that you were there to learn the why. Because again, that's what I stress. A lot of people, you know, you can watch a video, you can read a book, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this and I do that and I have it set up and things may go well for a while. But if you don't necessarily understand the why behind it, when a problem comes up, like, you know, airflow as an example, we all know, well, move air prevents PM and it's good, microclimates. I'm sure the person that came in from that fan company would be like, dude, there's like 20 things that you need to be worrying
Yeah.
about. And then you pick that up. It's just the why. And that helps you, again, diagnose things that baffle you later on. You're like, but I set it up how Jorge told me to.
That's absolutely right, man. And I think that's the most frustrating thing that I found as a grower trying to find information on the internet, whatever way that would be. Would it be YouTube was my favorite, obviously, but different forums and just Reddit, whatever, just searching everything. I just wanted to know as much as I could. And you can get conflicting information very easily, and it makes it so frustrating. So when I find the people that share information and they don't get behind paywalls and they do it freely, that made me become such a better grower, such a much better grower, instead of just trying to figure it out on my own. You can learn a lot that way too, but it's cool. You can go leaps and bounds by learning from other people too. And so that's why I try to do as many of these things as I can and share some of that knowledge that I have so that people can do the same thing, because then they're just going to get past me and come up with the next innovation and make my life easier as a grower. And I can learn from them again, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, let me hook you guys up and hook a brother up.
Yes, let me teach you to fish. So you know what? You can invent the net.
Exactly. Yes.
Back of a lolly.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
That's awesome. And I'm kind of slacking already too. Speaking of like supporting everybody, I like to give away a lot of beans on the show, at least a couple times every episode. And I usually try to do it in the first 10 minutes for the early birds. But let's actually give away, I'm going to give away, this will be the last pack of the Westport grape juice times Afghani #1. Because I've come up with a name, I've come up with a graphic, and I only have maybe 300 left. So I'm going to put some packs up on the Dogga site.
Wait a minute, you're just going to say that and not tell us what the name is and not show us the graphic? Is that a tease? Is that what we call that?
That is what we call that. That is what we call that. It's also the free StreamYard version, so I can't put up pictures, which I would if I could. I could play videos. But yeah, tune into my Instagram, chad.westport.
There you go.
Subscribe and hit the every button, and you'll find out.
Love it.
Yes. So that's rad. I need to pull up the StreamYard giveaway tool first of all. But yeah, so I want to give away a pack of the Afghani or Westport grape juice times Afghani #1 that has been given away for about a year on different shows and every episode on this show. And I've gotten a lot of good pictures, a lot of good feedback from testers. So
Isn't that fun?
and a lot of requests.
I love that. That's some of my favorite stuff, dude. It's like I don't pretend to call myself a major breeder in any sense, but I do like to play around with it. And to be able to just send out some free seeds and get feedback back from people and see other people growing it, I just love that. It's just so cool.
It really is, man. You get that proud parent syndrome. Like, it's cool to see it growing in other people's rooms and to see it with other plants. And before you like read the caption, you're just looking at the picture, like that one.
Yeah.
That's the one I see in my tent all the time.
you follow along on their grow if they keep posting, sometimes they'll do the whole grow or whatever, and I was, that one, see how that one's doing. Oh, and what about that one? It's like it's your own mini grow that you're following along with. I love that stuff. It's so, I don't know, it's so rewarding. It's so cool. And hey, thank you for being part of the community, giving away seeds, man. You don't know how much that helps people. Some people are still out there in prohibition land and are afraid to even order seeds. You know what I mean? So to be able to score some seeds on the down low is pretty sweet for some people.
It's my pleasure, dude. My pleasure. And I know you do a lot of the same. And yeah, it's just spreading the love that has been shown to me over the years. I'm one of those people who was, afraid to get online and send the money order and have my IP tracked and, go to these different websites. So it's like, I 100% get it. And I think, the first time that I won beans, I may have not even like contacted the person because I was like, I don't know. I don't want to do it. And then it was Eagle's Garden. Smiley's Garden was giving away some things. And I was like, yeah, okay. Give him my name. And I start that was the waterfall right there. And then I was like, yeah, sure, send me seeds. And I know now this is the bag of free seeds to give away. And I've got a couple more people that are definitely willing to want to send some seeds. So these are the seeds we're giving away.
Hell yeah, man.
So that's why awesome. We do it a couple times every episode too, because if we just did it one per episode, it seems they're going to be sitting here. So
hey, I want to thank you again for coming on the Let's Be Buds Chatathon, man. You were talking about some seed giveaway. I had to break some kind of record what you guys pulled off, man. That was fucking badass.
Dude, thank you. And I mean, shout out to you and to the community that put up all of those seeds for us to give away. Like we did, it was Dave's night here, and I, with the background help of Sniff wasn't there that day. Little E-Bud was helping out. And Uncle Rick, we gave away 20 packs of beans in 60 minutes. Like that's got to be some kind of record, really. 20 packs of beans in 60 minutes.
It was just giveaway after giveaway after giveaway. It was like, it was something to be. It was something to see. It was cool, man.
Yep. And then, speaking of community too, it's fun to see a lot of the names that were there on that day here in the chat as well. So I always say, we travel well as a community. There's a lot of love and support.
Man. I love this community. I absolutely love this community, and it's amazing the support that comes out whenever there's somebody in the community that needs help. There's so much help offered. It makes me proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And we actually had a guest, Blue Kiss Gardens, probably about 3 or 4 episodes ago, sing your praises, and she's not the first one, so I won't embarrass you and put you on the spot, but. Amen, dude. You do a lot to help when people need it, and especially with physical type ailment things, helping people out. That's what this plant is for. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely, man. That's what sometimes people forget, and it's cool to go to events and to be able to speak on it and to remind people that hey, there's still people using this like super medicinally, like without it, they're not really liking life too much. So. Yeah. It's really cool to remember that, it's cool recreationally as well, but don't forget the medicinal aspect. And a lot of times that's what happens. You see it from state to state. So,
oh God, yeah, 100%, man. That's my biggest complaint about legalized cannabis is what happens to medical. But I won't go down that road too hard because I do want to actually circle back to that because you do a lot of activism and a lot of speaking. Not just online. Like you've probably climbed more Capitol steps than 95% of the people here. So we'll get to that. Oh, this is important. So Spartan Grown in the chat, if you've typed that in, you are going to be entered to win one of the Westport grape juice times Afghani #1 beans. It's the last pack, and then we're gonna switch it up, and I'll let you guys decide. The next jar I have to just start giving away seeds. It could be your choice. We could do the same Afghani #1. That was the male on all these crosses, times a skunk #1. Skunk #1 was from Sensi Seeds. We could do the Afghani #1 crossed back to its sisters, we could do that jar.
Oh, that
And
sounds sexy right there.
the Afghani, the back cross or the seed increase. I'm not quite sure what you call that. And then I've got a few things to give away. I might even give away a pack of the S1s, the Westport Grape Juice S1s today. We'll get to that. Let's give away the first pack. How about that? And then we'll just give away more packs later. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and hit it. We got 67 in chat. Anybody who watches knows I am too immature not to ask for 2 more entries. So let's get it to 69, 68. Okay, we need 1 more person. And then I'll be happy just because I'm immature. And there we go. All right. Good luck, everybody. And I'm going to ask you where you're from in chat after this. I'm hoping you're in the U.S. If you're not, we will figure it out. So winner is Haas Farms. Congratulations, Haas Farms. You've got the Chud. Uh-oh. Name drop. Afghani. No, Westport Grape Juice times Afghani number 1. Write this down. And I forget Haas exactly. Are you in the U.S., Haas?
Yes, Haas is in the U.S. Congratulations, Haas Farms. Yeah, he is.
All right.
Sure. He's got some Spartan Grown seeds.
Sweet. Now you were doing. Let's talk about seeds, I guess, for a second here, because you were doing. Was it a vortex increase? Maybe for the people that haven't heard that story, because I think it's a really awesome one, and maybe what you like about the vortex. How did your seed increase come about?
Yeah, okay. So vortex, I love vortex. When I was an early caregiver, I got my hands on some seeds, and it was from Eagle. Was it Eagle Gardens? I believe it was Eagle Gardens, or it was either him or Galactic Gardens, one of the two, right here in Michigan. I'm 100% sure it was Eagle Gardens. I met a hash bash. That's another good part of the story. Some of the seeds that I'd gotten from him, which I got a mess of them, but I got some vortex, and I grew the vortex, and it was one of the first strains that I grew that it would cut through my tolerance. Like the more I smoked, the higher I would get. There was no ceiling, and it was a soaring high. So for me, it was like when I go too hard on it, when it was getting past my tolerance and it was a little bit too much, I get like the room spins, like when you get too drunk sometimes and you're sitting still, but the room around you is spinning. And then if I smoke past that, I puke. I mean, I guess so sick I puked, like really going too far. So I was really impressed with that. It was always a strong strain, and I could always get really high on it. And it's that soaring type of high that I really enjoyed. It was kind of rare, especially it was like a 9-week strain. So eventually, I can't remember how I lost it or whatever, but years go by, and I mentioned I noticed there was this old grow store when I was working at Mechanico that I drove past, but it was closed down, never open. And after several years, I saw like vehicles outside. The front door was open, so I'm like, well, I'm pulling in there. I know there's much because I'd driven by there and I knew there's a bunch of grow equipment in there. And I just wanted, to peek my nose in there and say, hey, what's going on? Yeah. And so I get closer, and there's a handwritten sign in the door that says, cash only, everything must go. I was like, oh, that's what I want to see. Except for the cash only ended up biting me in the butt. So I go in there and I'm poking around, and most things are super old and ancient, and there's nothing I can use. But then I get back to where the old counter used to be, and there was this display case with little pegs and a bunch of seed packs hanging from pegs, and it was all decorated out. It was so cool. I asked if I could buy the display case because it was so cool. It was TGA branded. It was neon that you could plug in. It was so dope. But it was full of these really old. I mean, like by then, I think it was 5 to 6, 7 year old seed packs. And I'm looking in there and I see Vortex hanging in there. I'm like, oh. And I asked the lady, I said, how much are you selling these seed packs for? And she said $50, which was like the going rate at the time, like 5 years ago. But that's like face value for something that I could turn around and just put online and make money. But that's not what I was going to do with it. So I basically spent all the cash I had in my pocket. And then I called my boy Baked Pone and I said, bro, if you have any money to spare, get your money out of the ATM and get down here. So him and some other buddies from work came down. We cleaned out the Chernobyl I ended up getting some Doctor who I still haven't gotten into yet. And
No way.
yeah, so we got some old TJ. We planned the trichome forge that me and Big Pone are working on. We plan on doing a pheno hunt. We're doing a pheno hunt right now in Spartan Puke, but we plan on eventually doing a TGA pheno hunt. So he's gonna go through his seeds, and we're gonna go through my seeds. We're gonna get a bunch of TGA stuff, and we're gonna hunt through, and that's gonna be like, oh yeah, there you go, there you go.
There we go.
What is
Yeah.
what strains this one?
This was Jack's Cleaner too.
Jack's
God,
Cleaner,
weird. Let me
nice.
pull myself up. I finished filming a new seed collectors episode, and I need to do some editing. And it was Subcool's birthday, and there's a little piece in there on Subcool. So I had this pack out because this was the first pack of like pro beans that I bought. And I mean, yeah, some of the names on here, it has your Chernobyl, it has your Jack's Cleaner, Jack's the Ripper, Time Wreck, Vortex, Jilly Bean. Yeah, a lot of awesome strains from TGA, Subcool, Genetics.
Packaging and they just staple them together. I love that, man.
Yeah,
that's the Vortex I had. That's why I was excited about the Vortex, was because it was pre-fire. So
yeah, this is all pre-fire.
Short story. Subcool lost all of his original breeding plants, the male and female, in the fire, so he can't remake those seeds anymore. Well, this is seed stock from that, so I was super stoked with the seeds that I got. So when I popped the 5-pack, I ended up getting 4 to take off. 1 didn't make it, and I had 2 males, 2 females. So I put them in the tent immediately. I'm like, you guys are going to get together. We can get to know each other real well, because we want babies and lots of them. So that's what I did. I did like a little open pollination little project. Once they got into flower and I could sense like smells and terpenes, I made a pick on the female. I made a pick on my favorite male. I pulled clones off of them and put them in the veg, and I left everything else in there, and then just let them open pollinate with each other. And I collected a bunch of seeds, and I've been passing them out here and there at events and stuff like that. And different people that have contacted me, I send them out to, and I'm just getting that awesome strain back out there. It's old school. It's not as pretty as some of the new strains, but it's still a great smoke. And I don't know, it's just fun.
Solid. Yeah, it's solid backbone. That's what some of the ones that I grew out, the Jack's Cleaner 2, the Agent Orange, those grew fairly similar for me. And I do still have a couple of the pre-fire seeds directly from them. This is over 10 years ago. I crossed the 2 just for myself, and I still have a ton. It was called Agent Jack, because it was
nice.
Agent Orange and Jack's Cleaner. And it has the raddest mango, like the raddest mango profile.
So good. That's the best part of the Vortex, is that mango.
Yeah. Now, one thing that tripped me out when I did pull that out too, though, is because you don't see this much anymore because we have all the plastic ones. But remember when all your seeds used to come in these little glass perfume jars, because that was the only thing that would like hold seeds?
Yep. For sure, I remember one time I ordered seeds from Europe, maybe Nirvana seeds or something, and it came in a perforated, like a picture of postcard, but like puffy, like corrugated, I would say, kind of like that. And I get it, and it's just printed like my address on it, and I'm like, and it's from the seed company. I'm looking at it, I'm like, where the hell are my fucking seeds, And they were in a vial just like that, slipped in one of the perforations, and it was sealed. So I had to like literally rip it apart, and they were inside that. And then when you showed that, picked that up, instantly it reminded me of that.
The old school. I've had people contact me and be like, dude, where are the things? All you sent was a piece of cardboard. And I'm like, they were in the cardboard. They're like, well, I already threw that away. I'm just like, oh. So I had to start writing on the cardboard inside.
Oh my goodness, that is heartbreaking. Can you imagine throwing away some seed? Oh goodness.
And then I mean, I'm happy to replace it for these people, but I'm just like, you suck. And then once I'm like, enough people sucked, I'm like, okay, that's on me. I just need to like make a note for the, it's like the sticker of like, on every warning caution, the rubber totes that you put your stash in, and it has the picture of the like baby inside the tote with the circle and the line. Like, don't put your baby in the tote.
Yes.
How many babies got locked in totes that they had to put that damn sticker? And sometimes.
I don't know. Some babies have they can be pretty goddamn quick. You turn your back for a second. So yeah, I don't know.
So be careful. Check your totes before you close them. I guess that's
Yeah,
the
there
moral.
you go. Check them before you seal them.
Oh, snaps. Well, I had one thing come up the other day is I was writing an article about like grow room design and a bunch of different places in the house. And when it came to like converting a room, just blank shell, you've got a room, and the assignment's kind of like, okay, well, what do you think of? What are your considerations? What are your constructions? What are your materials? How would you build out a grow room? And I've done that before, but that was a long time ago before tents were really available. And one of my comments back to the editor is like, well, I wouldn't really do anything. I'd put some tents in there. But that wasn't the assignment. So, I went along and constructed my ideal room, but that made me think, today, because once I discovered grow tents after years of building custom little rooms and trying to like build false walls, would I do that again? So I wanted to get like your opinion. What would you do if you were presented with like a blank room, or maybe what are some of the considerations that would go through your mind? Because I don't know, maybe you want a living soil bed that doesn't fit in a tent or is too humid for it. So what's maybe something that goes through your mind in that situation?
Yeah, that's a really good question because there's so many factors, so many variables that go into everything. So the very first thing is that I want the space. And what I mean by I'm looking at the space, the most important thing to me is the vertical space. You know what I mean? Honestly, it's more like what's the biggest limitation? Is it vertical space
Right.
or is it wide space? And then find what that limitation is and build around that. Find your problem. Find the thing that you can't change that's going to be the biggest hurdle, and then build around that. Because I've found that if you start designing things and just ignore that to the end and then try to fix it, it's you lose a lot of space. You end up doing things to just not be able to maximize the space. And really, especially in a home situation, you're trying to maximize the space that you have. Well, hell, even in commercial. And because the more space that you have available, you don't have to fill that with plants. It could give you more space to move around and make it more pleasant to work on the plants. But it's still a huge advantage to have the maximum use of the space that you have allowed to use. So that would be the biggest thing for me, is look at what's my limitation and then start building around that. Now, if I had the floor would be my next real big one. If I have like a cement floor, like I'm in a basement, or if I'm in a room and it has a hardwood floor, I would probably try to build a room, because that would be my ideal. I like to have, that to me is almost waterproof. Yeah. And it's almost my waterproof. Now, if I have another, like not waterproof floor, like I have carpeted room, now I want a tent, because the tent's going to be waterproof and keep the water off of the carpet, which is the number one priority for me, because I don't want mold and create more issues. Yeah. So yeah, there's a tool, like a tent to me is just another tool I can pull out of my grower tool belt to solve a problem. But I do love the style of mini, like if you needed a bunch of grow, instead of having like say a 2 light veg, you have 2 1 light tents. I kind of, if you need that for some reason, like maybe you're breeding or whatever, you need the isolation. I do like the idea of throwing several tents in the same big space and using the big space as the lung room, and putting all your air conditioner, dehumidifier, and in that big room, and make that the perfect range that you need, and then just use your extraction fans to cycle that air through the tents when they need it on little controllers. That I really love that setup at the home setup, because I feel like that's one of the biggest limitation I feel of a tent is to control the environment, because they don't offer a lot of insulation. But if you put them in a room that's insulated, and you cool and heat that room and dehumidify that room to where you need it, and maybe add CO2 if you want, then you can just use that bigger volume of air to cycle in and out of the tent when you need it. And it's slick. I love it.
I do like that. And that's, as I look around, I'm like, tent, Tent. Yeah, I
currently
subscribe to that.
I have a 4x8 tent and a 3x3 tent going up, and I have a built-out veg room and a built-out flower room. So I have not by any means given up on tents.
No, not at all. And for if I had open space too, that would be fun again, to do something a little bit larger than just in the tents, because again, it's nice to be able to walk around. When I'm in tents, I don't veg nearly as long because I want more quantity, or well, I want more quantity of strengths, not quantity of yields. Like, it probably all averages out. It's it's like 9 medium plants versus 4 large plants, kind of the
Right.
same yield.
Changes
But
the workload though. I feel like the
yeah.
fewer plants, the larger, are a little bit less work sometimes than the 9 smaller plants or whatever it would be.
Well, yeah, especially too when if you are trying to pack a tent. Like, I recorded a little grow tent tour of my own for the show here. We'll play that in a little bit. But yeah, when you're really packing a tent too, you tend to go for smaller pots. Smaller pots need to be watered more frequently. So yeah, watering 4 is easier than 9. That's for sure. But
I love that. Like, I love that. So watering is not exactly fun for me. Like, it doesn't get to be. I've never had any.
well, what's better, trimming or watering? Which would you rather be, in the trim room or the watering room?
Trimming, man. I'd rather be trimming, because when I'm trimming, I'm not kidding. Because when I'm trimming my own, this is specifically my own cannabis, something that I grew that's going to be mine. I don't like to trim other people. I don't like to trim for other people. I don't like to. Oh, I'm doing this, and now you get to enjoy my trim. No. So if I know that it's for me and I'm trimming it, I feel like this is gonna sound terrible, but I feel like I'm undressing the bud. I'm like, oh yeah, look at her, she is beautiful. I got her looking perfect now. Yeah, now that bud is like perfect. Exactly.
Let's get it on. It's playing in the background.
Yeah, man. It's like, especially Mac 1. She's so frosty. And you're just like, oh, I don't know if I should even trim. Oh yeah, let's take that off. Oh yeah, you're looking beautiful now. Let's stick her in the jar. Yeah.
How do you feel about handling your buds? Like, are you a guy who tries to only the stem, or what are your feelings on manhandling buds?
I'm not gonna lie. When I'm in a grow, especially somebody else's grow, they have to specifically tell me, hey, squeeze that bud, or I'll never do that.
Yep.
And like, when I see people, even on lives or whatever, they go up, especially with bare hands, and they're squeezing their buds and they're grabbing it, I'm like, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. So yeah, I don't know if I don't know if there's any science or any. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for people. I'm just saying, to me, that bothers the shit out of me, because I feel like, like even the white hairs, they respond. They'll turn to the pistils. They'll respond and start turning brown because of that physical touch. Even a fan will do it if it's too strong.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I look at the plant like that's the female. She's special. Let's make her look pretty. Don't beat her up.
Yes,
but
gentle.
So yeah, if I squeeze a bud, even I won't go up to the cola. You know what I mean? I'll go down to the bottom bud or something that you'd probably just pull in the trim anyway. I'll squish that little bud.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not gonna finger up the plants. I'm sorry. I don't like doing that.
I'm glad you feel that way too, because and I realize like that is like one of my little pet peeves, but I also realize it's a little synchronicity or whatever of mine. Like, there's some things that are completely normal to everyday life and people that I'm just like, oh my god. And yeah, touching your buds is one of them, because I was like, don't do it. You spend all this time growing it. It's funny that you mentioned that you won't grab it unless somebody mentions it. I'm the same way, and I was actually watching something earlier today with Nick T, talking about, he was out with his a group of students, and he was describing, just kind of like smelling the plant, and like you said, don't grab the bud, grab like one of those sugar leaves and kind of rub it. But he was saying, he's like, never go to a farm or anybody's grow room and touch their bud without asking first. And I'm like, good on you for putting that out there.
Yeah, have some respect, man. That's a lot of work that person put into it. Have a little bit of respect.
Yeah, my goal is to be, the first time the bud gets touched is when you're breaking it up to put it in your pipe, your bong, your joint, whatever. That's my goal. That's the first time it should be touched.
That's pretty badass. Yeah, that's cool. That's the best you could offer,
Yeah. So I'm glad we were kind of on the same page there about what we would do with the room, and how to break it up. And like you said, there are a number of factors. One thing that I kind of like hit a roadblock on, because you do have to make structural changes to the room, but it was the ventilation. And in the scenario that I presented, because I wanted to make it harder for people, it's like it was in a front facing, or the room had windows that were facing the front of the house. So that's not a window that you really want to ventilate or have, the obvious air ducts out there. And it's like, why is this guy running the AC? It's like February 3rd.
Oh, I have a total
So,
solution for that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's those you use those blinds that look like bamboo that are they're laying flat. There's a bunch of little pieces of bamboo that rolls down. So you go to the window, take all the dressings down and everything, and you get a piece of board that will cover that window hole. It's a little bit bigger than the hole that the window's covering. And then you take that blind and you mount it on that board. So from the outside, it looks like, or you can mount the blinds into the window if you want to.
Yeah.
And in that board, you cut the hole that you need to vent out of, and then you open that window to vent out of it. And from the outside, when you're looking in, all you see is that blind. You just see that blind.
Yeah.
And then the air passes through it, because they're just like bamboos that are bound together, but there's a slot between that the air goes right through. But from the outside, it just looks like you got some blinds with your window open, but your blinds are down. But from the inside, you could hook whatever size fan you need. And I did that for years to kind of stealth blow out windows. It works for basement windows really well. It works for upstairs windows.
That's a good one. Like I always do encourage people to, again, you got to block off the windows because of light. You don't want, I lightly almost give away people more than the smell does in illegal states. So light's important.
If you're in a cold state,
yeah.
If you're in a cold state and it's wintertime and you're the only house in the neighborhood with no snow on your roof, you're kind of giving things away.
Yeah, right. I actually see Mackie High on Homegrown and Chobert UK, a couple UK folks in here. That's always where I see those pictures. It's just like the classic like UK like row houses, snow, 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 bear, snow, snow, snow. You're like, yeah, that's not a good look.
Or even on one house, there's just like on the top of the garage roof is all of a sudden bare, but the rest of the house is covered. I wonder what they have in the loft there.
Yeah. So when you guys get your first frosts of the year, go out and check your roofs in the morning. See how obvious you are.
There you go. There you go. Good advice.
See how good your insulation is. But yeah, so as far as like the windows, one thing I always encourage too is like, you'll have to block them off. You can use blackout curtains, you can do whatever, but I always have encouraged people to put like that false curtain on the inside. So somebody looking in, it's not like, geez, nice curtain, black curtain, nice curtain, nice curtain.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, good point.
Uniform.
But you could take that board, paint that black, put it up against the wall, and hang the blinds in front of it or the curtains in front of it, and so no light. It's going to be kind of absorb light, and you're only got to worry about light going through the hole that you're exhausting through, whatever.
Right.
Bends help you. 90-degree bends help you there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it's like 2 or 3 90-degree bends, and then the light isn't going to be able to refract around the corners.
Yeah. Yep. I like to go the opposite ways too. If I bend this way, the next one's this way.
Nice. That's a good touch too. So what if the window wasn't an option though? That was kind of where I went with it. I'm like, well, okay, 2 options is one, I could work on actually sealing the room. I could then run CO2, but I also need to run an intake to replace the fresh air.
Are you in a house?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about CO2
the other
in a house.
option,
I would just intakes from ambient. I would consider to be high CO2. So if I could just exchange air, I would consider that good. But just be like, yeah, it would be tough because it's a sealed room. But you're right. You're going to have to exchange air with the rest of the house at the very least, even if you can't exchange with outside. So it's like kind of a hybrid. Like, yeah, that's how I would do it, though. I would do that.
And then another option too was, and this was it's how I did it in the past, which is I think, one of the best ways, but you have to cut a hole in your ceiling, and not everybody wants to do that. And if you're in a rental, then you definitely can't do that. But, you know, go in the closet, do the ceiling, put your 4-inch or your 6-inch hole, and then I just vented it up to a vent on the roof, just because even if you don't get rid of all the odor, it being up high is going to help reduce it, and it's also up there to catch more wind, so it's going to disperse more. So that ultimately was the way to go for me in my mind in the past. But I'm like, I got to tell people to cut a hole in their ceiling, and I know not everybody's gonna be able to do that,
especially the roof, or unless you vent out the attic front, I guess.
Well, yeah, because mine just went straight up into the attic. I got like a 6-inch collar, so there's a little flange on each side you can attach ducting to. And then just one of the, the square little vents on your roof. I forget the official name for them right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I just run the ducting right up to that. And then there's another collar I come out below it. And so it just ducts straight out of that. So it's directly, it doesn't enter the attic at all.
I like that. It's a lot like what they have over a stove, where they have the vent for when you're cooking.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good comparison there. So let's see here. We're getting close to the hour, which means we should give away probably another pack of beans. We've got only a couple left from Mr. Toad Boneyard, and this actually is a person in the community who you've probably all seen give away a lot of seeds. You've probably seen a lot of people growing his packs. I've given away, at least 20 of them on this show. And sorry here, I actually have a page pulled up here in the background because I'm going to utilize it later, but I'm just going to put this up here. And again, everybody, I don't want to be the guy to tell you what to do with your money. You earned it. You do what you like. But I do just want to put this out here too. Mr. Toad, he's having some roof problems, and he is running a GoFundMe. Well, actually, Gummy Girl, who's a person in the community, is trying to help raise the roof for Mr. Toad. So before we give away a pack of seeds from him, I just wanted to let everybody know that if you've gotten a free pack of seeds and maybe got an extra $10, send it his way. I'm going to put the link into chat right now. But again, you guys, this is just something that I wanted to bring up. Do what you will. But anyways,
this is your good karma. This is your good karma moment. Get you some good karma. You throw some karma out there, it'll come back tenfold. It's worth it.
Exactly. So, all right. So the link is in the chat. If you guys need the link again, I'll probably pop it in there a few times, but I just wanted to put that up. You can learn more about it on Mr. Toad's Instagram as well. So just tossing that out there, but we are going to give away a pack of beans that he gave us for free to give out to people. It is the Space Utopia. And Spartan, I told everybody I am contractually obligated to say it that way. So that's why I do it with the funny voice.
I'm on board.
But it's good. It's and I can never pronounce the first part of it. It's like a Shoshanimi cuddler times space cheese. Yeah, that is just.
Oh, that sounds good. I'm saying this is the year, guys. This. I'm calling it right now. I've said it already to other people at events, but I'm calling it because I'm willing it into existence. And it's not from anything from me, but hopefully somebody else does it. But this next couple of years, I think I'm calling the new. Like right now, I think lime is what's hot, but I think the new hotness is going to be cheese. Bring the cheese back.
Yes.
Cheese to come back. We can need some cheese to make this hotness. Okay, breeders, let's bring the cheese.
Yes, I feel it, dude. And I've been collecting from different breeders, different seed banks, different continents. I gave up on the skunk. I've been collecting cheese, and I'm getting ready to pop them and just go for it. I love it. Yes,
I love it, man.
I'm with you there. And I had some Dairy Queen too, which was a kind of a cheese offering from TGA.
TGA.
Got that one from Miranda Family Farms. Yep. Yeah. I think that was actually on the. Oh, I misplaced the label now. Was Cheesequake on here? Nope, maybe a little early. This was Dairy Queen was on here though. But everybody in chat, if you can, preferably US only. We'll see what happens. But yeah, again, this is for the pack of Space Utopia from Boneyard Seeds NorCal, Mr. Toad. Just type Toad's Roof into chat. We'll give it a couple minutes here. We'll collect some names and, just shout out to him. I hope you get some help with that.
Shout out Mr. Toad, man. I've got some of his haze for days. I just haven't been brave enough or had time to put aside that many days for those haze, but I got them. I
know. I feel I got a 16-week flowering Santa Marta Gold pack here.
Holy goodness.
Not able to pop yet. And I forgot who it is now. They were on another show. They had Santa Marta's Gold and they were thinking of running it. And I was like, do you realize it's a 16-week strain? And if you do, I've got some more to send you. Just send me the winner.
Like, I'm looking for some really good. Let me know if you find. I'm looking for some really good. We're on the hunt for some Durban poison. We're looking for some good Durban poison. All right, there's a couple people in the state that can have some good examples of it. So now me and Baked have agreed that if we want to hunt something that's hard to find, that's the one. We want to look for a really good Durban poison.
Got a couple names that popped to mind. I wrote it down and I will reach out after the show.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, Durban poison is part of cookies. So we'll just put that out there.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's as lineages go, as best as we can. But it seems to be pretty universally agreed that Durban poison is part of cookies, but can't conclusively prove it. So
I prefer the Durban poison. If I have to pick, I prefer the Durban poison over all of the cookies anyway. I like the original.
Yep.
I like that little anise that comes with it. It's so good.
Yeah. F1 Durban is not Durban poison. Okay. You're right. Well, it sounds like it would be a cross there. And that kind of goes back to some of the older strains, some of the, like Acapulco Golds, Panama Red, these things that I know I've smoked the name, but I wasn't really there for them like I was for like the OGs. Like you could blind taste test, man, and be like OG, but I couldn't blind taste test an Acapulco Gold, unfortunately.
Me either, man. Me either. I know GG4 very well. That one's the one that for me, that's the one I think when I smoke it, I'm like, yeah, that's the number 4. Yeah, that's it.
Yep. So that's kind of a funny one because that one I watched spread regionally to different areas of the country. Like I saw it blew up here and it moved up the coast, a couple 100 miles and it blew up and then, a couple states over. When I think of Michigan, where you're at, GMO seems to be the one that I point to. Like I remember, I think it was like 2019-ish, 2018, when it really kind of hit here in Washington, and everybody was just so like, "Whoa, GMO!" And we're still like garlic mushroom onions, and all of the fun tales that come along with a new strain that doesn't have a real good provenance to it. But then come to find out, it's like this is old news in Michigan. So it's funny how things kind of move regionally, which is why I want to ask you, like, what's hitting there right now? What is something that maybe is popular amongst caregivers or even like in the rec store? What does Michigan Leafly say is hot right now?
Man, I have no idea because I don't go by the mainstream stuff. I'm the snob, man. I'm the snob. I go into, Winewood Organics in Ann Arbor, Michigan. That's right. Spartan goes into an Ann Arbor, Michigan store. Winewood Organics. I got mad respect for the grower out there, Eric. And man, he's got a Durban poison out there that I really like. And I'll tell you what, it tests at 17% THC. And I love that stuff. I love it. But the stuff there is a lot of there is some new, you'll see runts in there, which gives me a nice headache. You see,
Gives me a nice headache. It's a well-rounded headache. It's not just here. It's kind of all over.
Yeah, but they got a lot of the still white truffles still out here. You'll see GMO is a huge favorite still around here. There's some GG4 that's really popular as well. You'll see more of that in the medicinal sides. A lot of gelato or cookie variants called different things.
Right.
Wedding cake is another big popular. I see a lot of wedding cake crosses. There's some local breeders here in Michigan. So some of the stuff like Pure Michigan, you see a lot. Thank you, Becca. Super Boof is a lot you see huge. That's been going in the commercial market for quite a bit now. I believe that's a Mobile J found cut. Shout out to Mobile J. And yeah, there's a lot of the same. I think commercial wise, you'll see word or news travels really fast. It's a lot of it's a lot of like the caregivers. But now with it being more legal and people are more apt to communicate on Instagram is where I do a lot of my communications and things like that. There's like communities that are being in a group chat of a bunch of commercial growers, and there's people from all over the country. So when something's popping, you know what I mean, and news starts spreading, it spreads fast now. And I think it might start in Cali, it might be found in Oregon, it might be in Colorado, it might be Alaska, I don't know, but give it a couple of weeks, it'll be everywhere. It's very, as much as people think that, yeah, I'm going to spend 10 grand and this is going to be great for a year. No, stop spending your 10 grand. It's going to be great for 2 weeks and somebody else is going to have it. What do you think? You think nobody else has got 10 grand? Come on, man. Just save your money and wait, be patient. You'll get it.
Person who buys that clone for 10 grand sells 10 $1,000 clones, and then those people sell 10 $100 clones, and then pretty soon, yeah, everybody kind of has it. And that is crazy because, like the GMO, like that GG4, it took years before it was really like nationwide. But once it got there, everybody still loves it. Everybody's still on it. But nowadays, man, with the internet, with the social networks, you come up with something hot and you get it, in the right person's hands. Like I forget dude's name. They're all in LA. All the crazy motherfuckers selling $1,000 ounces every day. But if you get it into one of their hands and they go on the first Smoke of the Day show and they're talking about it, well, then you've got a national brand now and everybody wants to buy your shit. So Nakatomi Plaza, that's the one, guys.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah. All right, let's get these beans away. For Mr. Toad, again, I put 98 right on. That's awesome.
98 people. This is awesome.
98 people. And I see Holler in here. He's all, quick, give me a wrench. I know what Magpie is about to say. Magpie, I love Magpie. He types some funny stuff in here for me, though. He always gets me to do a hair flip by the end, so I couldn't have you. I couldn't have you step on there. Oh yes, everyone does realize the best. See, this is why we need. This is why Magpie doesn't get a comment. Everybody knows the best flowers grown in Canada, right?
I didn't know that.
We all joke around, but I mean.
Wait a minute. Is Michigan considered Canada now? Is that what we're saying? Because I'll take that. I'll be all right with that, I guess.
Magpie's drunk on the maple syrup again. We're just gonna ignore. We're gonna ignore the Canadian up there, even though he's a lovable guy. So let's go ahead and get this drawing. 98 people. Good luck, everybody. 99. I saw right before I hit it. And then after this winner, just let me know in chat if you are U.S. or where you're located. Grower Mo, right on, buddy. Grower Mo, Space Utopia. I assume you are US. Grower Mo, Space Utopia. I'll write that down here just so I keep things organized for y'all, and I'll get them in the mail. Actually, hit me up on Instagram. That's how we do this. I don't think I mentioned it the first time, but Haas knows how to get a hold of me. But yeah, if you win, just hit me up on Instagram. Let me know a good and safe place to get them to you, and they will be in the mail. And I'll give you tracking when they go out so you know when to expect them. But congratulations, Grower Mo, and thank you for watching and your support. I see you in a lot of different chats. So
yeah, congratulations, Grower Mo. That's awesome.
Bravo. And we're going to definitely give away some more from the sack of beans before the
From
show
the
is
sack.
over. From the sack
Gotta
of
love,
beans.
gotta love Chad. He's got a big heart, but he gives from the sack.
Do not put that on a t-shirt. Even though it would be perfect. Oh, shit. I don't even know what to say. That's awesome. I know what to say since you're so clever and smart with your words. Earlier, I said that you see more capital steps than probably 95% of us, and that's true. And what I meant by that, for people who didn't catch that little joke, is activism. It's so important. We talk about educating. We talk about writing your senators, your governor, your local officials, even. And it sounds good, and we all think about it, and it's like, yeah, but inaction is a bitch. And I'm guilty to a certain extent as well. But Russ, you're not. You're a guy who gets out there. You've got like the senators on speed dial. They're actually tired of your face now. They compliment you on your beard. They're like, oh, did you change it this time? So you recently were actually just speaking at the state capitol. So can you maybe just fill us in on a little bit about that and what you've been doing, and then B, maybe some advice for people who they agree with you, they're on board, they support you, but they have a hard time getting their shoes on. So maybe if you have any advice for them as well, I'd love to hear about that stuff, because this is the important things, guys. This fight is far from over. So
Thank you, Chad. Yeah, thank you. That's super important. And it's, oh man, I can't remember who said it at the talk, but they likened it to Horton Hears a Who from Dr. Seuss. A lot of people are familiar with, and it's great to realize that when a bunch got together and made one voice, it only took one small, little tiny voice to push it over the edge to be heard. And I thought that was a cool analogy to that's exactly it.
I love that.
So yeah, sometimes it just takes showing up, and that's huge. But yeah, so I was thank you for one. I was invited to talk at the Harvest Rally at the Capitol here in the state of Michigan in Lansing, and it was thrown by a group called, there's a couple groups involved, but the big group that behind it all was the Michigan Weedsters, and they're an activist group here that really is, it's really, I think the best way to say it is they're caregiver focused, but they are open to listening to everyone in the cannabis community. Like they're wanting to advance cannabis through,
Right.
When that means, commercial, that means medicinal, that means caregiver, patient model, it means just recreational home grow, all of it. So I really respect that, because that's me. I love tagline I always end with usually is keep growing, because that's really my whole thing is in my life. I've seen such healing from cannabis that I just want people to grow it for themselves, and sometimes just growing it. I know plenty of people that don't even smoke it and they grow it, and that's healing. It's just you're taking care of something. And so anyways, so I went up and I want to support that group of the Michigan Weedsters, because I believe our goals kind of align there, and I see them at a lot of these venues where there's bad laws being introduced, and they're right on top of it, and they're informing people about what's going on. They're out there talking to the congressmen and congresswomen, and they're out there proposing changes, and they're at the meetings of the CRA and everything. So I just really respect their hustle and everything they do. So I wanted to be out there. So when they asked me, yeah, I definitely will be. So when I went out there to speak on what I thought. For one, I wanted to give the message that I think it was great how far we've come, what we have, the freedoms we have in Michigan. But yes, of course, we can improve. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that lawmakers are listening. And I explained what I thought was the biggest problem right now in Michigan was how the caregiver and patient market, which was the very first legalized cannabis in Michigan, 2008, that model is getting kind of hurt right now and not supported by the system. They're collecting a lot of tax dollars, but it's not being supported by the system. And I was giving some ideas of how that they could take some money and support it. For example, have a government funded web page that a caregiver could log into and say, hey, I'm a caregiver in this area and I'm available. I have, you know, 2
wow.
patient slots I can grow for. These are my strains. They're good for this,
Wow.
this, and this. And a patient can say, oh, I just got my patient card. And right now, when you get a patient card, you don't know what you're like, okay, what next? Unless you know a caregiver or you're going to grow it yourself and somehow get the, you know, exact strain you need. What are you going to do? So it would be cool to have that system
Yeah.
to link those two together. I gave that as an idea. The second idea I gave was to Minnesota, I believe right now is proposing to give patients 2 caregivers, which that's at least an improvement, because then this caregiver might have something great for your back, but this caregiver might have something great for a headache. You know what I mean? Why do you have to pick between should my head not hurt or should my back not hurt? Why not? How about
Right.
both? You have 2 caregivers available. And then I pushed it a little bit further, and I
Well, that's a trick of Henry Kissinger. If anybody remembers, he's like, give them 2 options you want, and that one that is so outrageous, they're like, those other 2 sound really good.
exactly, perfect, yeah. And then I said, and what I really think would be a great idea is I'd love to see a medicinal farmers market. And what I mean by a medicinal farmers market is it would be open to caregivers to be vendors, and it would be open to patients to buy from those caregivers. But right now in the system, caregivers only allowed to supply their 5 patients and nobody else. They should open it up and allow it only in these situations, at these farmers markets, their overages or whatever they can bring there, and they can say, to a potential, maybe they only have 2 patients and they could pick up on 1 more, 2 more, a patient before they leave their caregiver that they have now, for whatever reason they're thinking of leaving them, they can try a cannabis and maybe they see, okay, that stuff really works for me. That stuff that's not better than what I have. I'm not going anywhere. You know, that would just improve the quality in the caregiver market too, because everybody, we want to provide the best medicine, or get a niche somewhere like this is really good for this. And then those people can really help people. It's just going to help everybody improve. So to have a medicinal market, and it would be, in my head, a reason for people to get their patient card, because that's one thing that anybody can do in the state of Michigan and a lot of other states, is to get a patient card. And the reason that matters, that's a number in a state record that says there's this many people that still rely on this for medicine, because they throw that back in your face all the time. In Michigan, at least, they're like, look, patient numbers are going down, caregiver numbers are going down. It's not needed. The commercial medicinal market's good enough, obviously, otherwise they'd be getting their cards. And it's so frustrating when you said no. It's a hoop that a lot of these fucking patients don't want to jump through and have to pay $100 to a doctor who can't. You can't get a normal doctor to fucking recommend it, because it's frowned upon by big pharma if you recommend medicine. So you have to go pay another doctor on the side, because they're risking, you know, their reputation and everything else. So you got to pay them extra money. It's usually around $100 to get a damn patient card. You're making hoops for these people who are sick already. They just don't want to jump through the damn hoops when they can just go to the damn store and get something that's okay.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's frustrating. So when those numbers go down, I get passionate. Like, no, let's get those numbers up.
Well, that's absolutely what happened here in Washington. Is the numbers like just bombed, and I don't know the percentage, but I would probably say it's holding at like 20% of what it was when we only had medical. And part of that problem is the doctors writing the prescriptions, or we call them recommendations in the state, when it was in the medical days. And this is why, unfortunately, medical kind of had to go away. If you had $200, you got a card. Doesn't matter. You got a hangnail? Cool. $200 is all we need. So when it comes to like the recreational system, and I kind of forgot where I was going, because that really pissed me off, man. Our medical, oh yeah,
Well,
the
the
numbers
rec
are
does
diving,
it.
and to
The
find
rec-
a good doctor. So you can't find a doctor to write the
Oh, yeah.
prescriptions anymore, which is part of
No.
why the numbers dived. But yeah,
Yeah, the rec kills it, because the way that a store looks at it is that limits. If rec is available, that's everybody coming without any restriction. Medical restricts my customer base, so why would I even support that? I want to support my widest range. You know, a lot of the rec stores here in Michigan will honor the medicinal. If you have a card, they honor the medicinal discount of that. You don't pay the 10% tax. They'll just take that off for you. So to keep you going to their rec store. So it really hurts the medicinal market.
right.
But there's no better medicine than the homegrown medicine that the caregivers give. I've just seen it with my own eyes, and I know for it. But there's still reason to get a patient card. I saw a negative comment by Mike K. Sorry, bro, but if you get a medical card, man, even if you grow your own, if you get pulled over in the state of Michigan, they can't fucking blood test you and say, "Oh, you have cannabis in your system," because you have a medical card that says that you do take cannabis as a medicine, and it's gonna be in your bloodstream. They can't use that against you for driving your car. They have to prove intoxication. They have to prove more than just a blood test, which is really helpful. Really helpful.
Really
And
helpful because they don't have that necessarily outlined in a tried and true legal manner. So they don't necessarily have a way, and that card does. It provides you the affirmative defense. It's not saying you can get out of jail free, but it's like you're not going to jail.
yeah, exactly. And it helps you with a lot of other things that a lot of people don't think about. Like if you have kids and they're like child protective services, state of Michigan, it's written right into the law. If you have a medical card, it cannot be used against you by child protection services in any determinations. So there's all these little things that it goes off to as well. And they're 2 years. Once you do go through the process of it, it's only it's only one time in 2 years that you have to re-up it. It's good for 2 years now, which is great. And you can get it with your picture ID on it now, which they didn't always do. So then it counts as a picture ID for things that require picture IDs. So there's a lot of
TSA.
Yeah, man. So
We need a picture ID from you, sir.
Give them the medical marijuana card.
We're gonna need to search this guy again.
Yep. Hey, you got protections because you have that card.
Yeah. No, it's good to have, and for a multitude of reasons, not just for our own potential, but like you said, the numbers, the politicians who are not on Instagram, who are not in the underground, they know what they're told from lobbyists. That is their perception and reality of cannabis markets. So
that's the biggest thing that I tell in a lot of these talks I try to get across to is that the biggest thing we're fighting against is just misinformation. So you just have to go in as like an education. Like, I'm coming in there to educate you. Do you have any questions about cannabis? And wow, does that open up conversations with these people who don't have any idea about? They have a lot of idea about what the cannabis plant is and the smoking of cannabis. They can look that up and it's readily available. But we all know online, we've already talked about this. When you go online about growing cannabis, there's all kinds of ideas they could get that are completely off the wall. So that's where they have no information, and it doesn't make sense. So it's good to educate the lawmakers. That was the last thing it reminds me. We had a couple of lawmakers talk there, but the last thing I ended my speech with too was in something I know you like is near and dear to your heart as well. You're helping us with the Last Prisoner Project. Was I made sure to bring up that as I was wearing my Last Prisoner Project sweatshirt that said "Change is coming" when I was giving the speech, I said Michigan needs to really do a hell of a lot better job at expunging records that have past cannabis convictions and the people that are still sitting in jail for what is now illegal. It's stupid that they have to fill out paperwork and do it. Why aren't they doing automatic expungements like other states have already done? That's possible. It's not like we're asking an impossible thing. It just needs to happen. And that was a pretty positive note to lead on, because I think everybody can get behind that one.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I'm getting up and just grabbing everything today. That's because I just got the book in the mail. And next Wednesday, I'm going to be talking with Joe Keith Bickett. He was the founder of the Cornbread Mafia.
Awesome.
Who, if you're not familiar with the Cornbread Mafia, they are the largest domestic marijuana operation in United States history. Hundreds of thousands of tons. I think it was like 24 farms, 9 Midwestern states. But he spent 20 years in jail for it and for this plant. And, to tie back in with the Last Prisoner Project, he actually became kind of the paralegal or the legal assistant in jail in his time there. Because again, he was in there for 20 years because he didn't talk. How rare is that?
Respect.
Yeah, so he's a very smart guy. It'll be my second time talking with him. This is his third book. But the Last Prisoner Project and working on expunging records. This guy 20 years of his life, he was in there part of the time where cannabis was legal in certain states. That blows my mind that there are still people in jail for non-violent crimes doing the lesser than what a corporate freaking company is doing legally right now and making profits on. Like this, the to use the word humanity, the humanity is just fucked there.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, expunging records, because that still holds people back. You may be out of jail, but you
Absolutely.
might not get a job, get an apartment, get a handgun, anything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
big. It's
important.
huge. And a lot of people are surprised in the state of Michigan. We're like, it's been legal for a long time. What are you talking about? Like, well, yeah, there's still people in jail right now for this. It's not like they let anybody out or they just changed the law for everybody else. But apparently, if you're a prisoner, you don't have a right.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm glad you know, were big part of the Last Prisoner Project as well. You know, that's another show that you're on regularly is the Let's Be Buds show. Do you just maybe want to plug that show or tell everybody about that if they don't already know?
yeah, sure. One of the shows that I love doing every week is on Wednesdays, 9 o'clock Eastern. And it's about 2 hours long usually. It's a Let's Be Bud show. And we usually have some sort of a guest. We usually focus on the Last Prisoner Project. We kind of talk about it all year long, and then it accumulates to a big chat-a-thon every year where we do a fundraising event and raise money for the Last Prisoner Project. I love doing that show. I've got Uncle Rick as the main host, and love the guy, man. He's a funny dude. And we always have a cool guest. And if we don't have a guest, we usually find something to talk about just between the two of us. The second half of the show, a lot of times we open up to bring on growers and viewers that are watching and show their grow. And if they have questions or do they just want to show off their grow, and we talk about their grow for a little bit, it's a fun little hangout. And I really enjoy that part of it, to see everybody's grow.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent transition, because we'll get into the grow. This, you know, that's one things about the best grow show is I always want to usually have the guests show their garden, and the reason is we may see something that we've never thought of that is just like, oh, well, yeah, that's just how you do it in somebody else's garden. There's a lot you can learn, and that's a kind of a beautiful thing about growing in general, is there's always something that you can learn. You were talking earlier about the innovation and the research and the development phase, and you know, people tend to go and then they get locked in and then they kind of stick with it, but there's always experimenting that can be done. Every big commercial large scale place needs at least a room or two of R&D to do weird shit with. So did you guys have a little R&D room at your place, or was it still just finding your footing?
No, we were just kind of finding our footing there, but I can't really give details. This is one of those stupid tease things, but I can say that right now in my personal grow, I have some R&D going that I can't show video, and I've got an NDA on, and I'm extremely excited about, and I think it could be, this is going to sound like stupid, like I'm making it up, but I think it's going to be industry changing. I'm thrilled to be part of it, and I can't wait to talk about it.
That is awesome. I like those things, because industry changing events take time to verify
Well, I'm old school, man, and this was my conditions, was like, look, I need them. I need to see them with my own fucking eyes, and I need to see it work with my own damn eyes. And
a few times at least. Can't just work once.
In my environment, without you setting up a special environment, I want to see. So that's where I'm at. I'm getting ready to set up some experience and see. So I can't share that, unfortunately, but maybe in the future.
All right. So as you've just heard, Spartan is no fun. That's why the Wolverine teams are the best, because this guy is going to show you a little bit of his garden. So, Russ, if you need a pee break or anything, it's probably about a 9-minute video, but I'm just going to hang out, smoke in the background. Chat, if you guys have questions about this, put them in there and we can answer them after the little video rolls. But let me try to pull that up for y'all right now. Let's see here. If I go full screen there, and then I go full screen here. Oh my gosh. Here we go, everybody. Is there audio?
All right, so Spartan's not able to show his garden today, so I wanted to give you guys a little look into my garden. Now, normally my lights are off when we're doing the show, but I'm recording this at night because I know I'm going to play it tomorrow morning for you. So what you're looking at right now, this is one of my flowering tents. I've got the Spider Farmer G8600 light hanging up there. It's meant for a 5x5 tent, but it actually fits in a 4x4 tent, which I like because it gives me wall-to-wall coverage with light. But not only that, the frame itself prevents the tent from sucking in. When you close it up, you zip up your tent, you have the negative pressure because you're exhausting air out of it through your fan, and it sucks the sidewalls in. Now, you can lose square footage in your tent because anything that was placed close to that corner is now like getting smashed or leaned over by it. But with the light fitting the frame perfectly, it actually acts as a buffer from keeping it from sucking in. So that's the light. I've got two fans in here. They're oscillating fans for air circulation, air movement. I got one above the canopy, and usually I have one below the canopy, but these plants were vegged very quickly, so I could get them into flower. I just wanted to test them and, see what they would do before I give them out to testers, and then eventually they'll go out to the public once we're all satisfied and happy. But this is the first group of the Westport Grape Juice S1s. There are definitely multiple phenos in here. This is not an exact replica of the Westport grape juice, which is what I was hoping for. But hey, that just means A, these genetics are not bottlenecked and there is diversity in their gene pool. But also B, I've got some work to do. Now, there is one back there that is spot on for the Westport grape juice, but let me show you the kind of the different phenos that I'm getting in this group. So let's go in, take a look. If you guys have any questions about my setup, my tent, what I'm doing, ask away in chat. That's what we're here for. Here's kind of a closer shot of the group together. You can see that there is some varying heights. Pretty much around the same height, but there's a few that are shorter, and those were actually the thin-leafed phenos, which I'll give you a closer look in a second. And, the ones in front are going to be a little bit shorter because they are in the 1-gallon torture pots, as I like to call them. Everything else is in 2-gallon pots, and believe it or not, soil is Fox Farm Ocean Forest. Let me have it, guys. All right, so first we'll go in and we'll look at that large serrated leaf with the, tucking or the folding. We had 3 of these. Again, this is the one in the 1-gallon torture pot. It is doing its thing. Here's again another one, and as you can see, things got defoliated, but that is what this is looking like. And then there's this one over here as well. That is the same wide serration on the leaf, the kind of the duck foot tucking of the leaves. So that is one pheno that you're going to see. And with each 3 of these, you can see it's kind of a conical spear-shaped bud. And one thing you'll notice about these phenos is that the apical cola is above all the satellite buds. So there's a little bit of a stretch there, and that also translates over into these here. You can see these are kind of a same pheno here. You got your apical bud, which is above the satellite of colas, but this one is actually a little spear shaped for the colas, but there's a little bit more girth to it, and you see that these are kind of more balls towards the top, going to be nice kind of chunky buds, and this one is turning purple a lot faster than everything else. So that is another pheno that has the large apical cola above the satellites. And one thing, and right here the 1-gallon torture pot's kind of the same things. It's above there. And so those are another pheno that you'll see in the group. And we've got 3 that are kind of what I would describe as like the thin leaf variety. As you can see here, hopefully it's in focus, you can see that there are much thinner leaves on these than the other plants, but they are shorter than everything else. But this one is, everything is pretty level. And again, I didn't do any training on any of these. I wanted to let them grow naturally, but that is growing kind of around golf ball size buds on top. This one, again, the thin leaf, a little bit more spear shaped to it, but it does still have some of the girth to it, and a little bit more of a apicola above the satellites, but not a big difference there. But as you can see, these are all level without any training. And then up front, the 1 gallon torture pot version of it, kind of the same thing. It's fairly level, but that's another pheno that you'll see in this group. All right, and on to the 4th pheno that I found out of this group. This one is the closest to the Westport grape juice. As you can see, everything as far as the buds are pretty level. And again, there's no training on it. It's the lowers grow up and they match the height of the main stem. So that's something that I want to do and to find naturally. As you can see, it is getting some good trichome coverage. It is getting pretty purple, and those are also characteristics. Now, these definitely have thicker buds than the spear-shaped ones. Again, a Westport grape juice trait. But let me show you the difference here. So these two in the back also share the same growth of the Westport grape juice, kind of the pattern. It's, again, all of the colas there are at the top with no training. They just grow up from the lowers and they catch up and they grow. Now this one, as far as bud structure goes, this is the closest to the Westport grape juice. Like, this one is pretty much spot on. That is what you get from the Westport grape juice. And I'm seeing it in here, and the smell's matching it as well. Now, you'll see, how this bud is kind of chunky and a little bit wild sometimes compared to over here. These are chunky as well. They're round as well, but it's just a little bit different than those. Spot on for the Westport grape juice. You're pretty close. And again, all of the buds here are level with no training, getting the best amount of light they possibly can. Nice and chunky. That's what I like. That's what I look for. So that is the 4th pheno that you're going to find in this Westport grape juice S1 test run batch. And I forgot the 5th one, the freak. This is just a weird one. I didn't know if this was going to be a boy or a girl from a feminized seed. I tell you what, when it started to grow, look at those buds. Those are just like pure little, almost like string of pearl spears on this. It's not going to yield heavy. It's not something that you would really... I would probably call it, but you know what? I'm just growing it because it's weird. Who knows? Maybe it has those funky, crazy sativa, racy high effects. I don't know. I've never honestly seen anything like it, but yeah, this is the 5th and freaky pheno that I found in this group. And I guess to wrap it up from top to bottom, give you a look at my tent. It's a Spider Farmer 4x4. Got a 6-inch fan in here. Got the carbon filter, but I don't have them connected right now. I should probably connect them because, again, look at them. They are putting on their trichomes. They are putting on their buds. They're going to be damn smelly. So I should probably actually attach my carbon filter. But, yep, and look at that right there. That is my fire alarm. Everybody have one in your tent, please. So it's right above the light, right above the transformer. Again, it's the Spider Farmer G8600 light. And the 1 gallon torture pots, I pushed them all to the side right now. And then the rest, everything else is in 2 gallon pots. But this is my grow setup. This is the Westport Grape Juice S1 test run going on right now. So if you guys have any questions, put them in chat and let's do this.
Oh man,
It would help if I stopped sharing that, wouldn't it?
there you go.
There we go. Okay. Glad I don't have a bunch of like freaky recommendations on there. It's all just like my MMA stuff. So yeah, that's always nice.
You're like, score, yes.
Totally. Good. Everybody doesn't know I watch Martha Stewart and Taylor Swift videos all night now. Shit.
Maybe some Martha and Snoop ones that are respectable out there together, man. There's some out there.
Yeah. It always cracks me up too because only one of them's been to jail.
Isn't that funny?
Not the one you think. Oh shoot! So yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. I did star a couple questions. I tried to answer most of them in chat, but there were a couple that I'll get to here. And real quick before I do that, though, I want to give away some more seeds. We're going to give away this time from Wicked Genetics. That is the breeder, and Grow Scepter, Broken Scepter. He hooked us up, oh gosh, maybe a month ago now with a big bag of Wicked Genetics and some other companies that you'll be seeing given away here. So shout out to him. But this one is from the Camelot series. I have focus problems with this camera, but I'll just read it to you. It is the Chemsicle, which is the frozen cake pop times the Camelot. So I probably need to put a word into the tool. That would help. Let's see here. I'll just type in. So I'm channeling Uncle Rick right now.
I was gonna say I feel just right at home here right now. This is like tech talk, Uncle Rick.
Right, but I make it work though. I make it work. It's just sometimes
Mr.
when you're doing it
Magpie
live.
is demanding a hair flip right now, Chad. There you go. There you go.
There you go. Yep. All right. So everybody, Wicked Genetics in chat, and this is the pack that's going up. So let me use my mouse, magic mouse here to
Magic mouse. Sweet.
I know. That's what it's called too, man. Let's see. Okay, so THC Garage. Good question here. I said, Chad, what is the most important thing you want to accomplish on this project? Or cultivar love and respect. Thank you, THC Garage, for hanging out and always being here and being everywhere else too. So that's awesome to see. As we kind of saw in that video, the buds, when I said that's the spot on one versus everything else, the thing that I love about Westport grape juice is it grows well without much training. I grow intense, so it stays nice and short. It's fairly compact. The nodal spacing is fairly tight. It flowers within about 60 or so days, but it's commercially viable as well. Like when you have everything hitting, this thing produces, and it produces well, and it produces in a small spot. And that's what I want.
I love it. I love it. The density looked dense too. Like it was pretty dense. Nugs, which is really nice. Helps for trimming and everything.
Not much air. Like I haven't washed them yet. I'm gonna have somebody actually do that for the first time soon, just to see what kind of return. I'm not really a big hash person, but that is always the question. It's like, well, how does it wash? So I figured I should find out. But
we just had my buddy for Grohl. He runs some of our triple burger BHO, and it's fire. It's all
nice.
Can I get this thing to focus? It's kind of dry because, well, I don't know. It's been warming up a little bit sitting here, but maybe it's
yep. I see that there.
But oh, it's so good. It's so good. It doesn't have like the strongest flavor, but the high is so punch you in the face strong. I'm already in love.
Nice. That's I mean, effects are a huge part of it. That's something that you don't get through the internet, and that's gosh darn it, that's one of the most important factors to cannabis. When you said earlier that Durban poison you had was 17%, but it smacked you in the face, like good stuff will do that. It's not always the percentage.
It's the combo of everything. You got to find that key that's got all the little divots and grooves, you know, that fits your lock, and then that's all you need. You need that.
It's a good analogy. I like that. Like that. Kingfisher here too is how much leaf stripping did you do? I had probably a week or so ago I did a leaf stripping on it. I took off all the large fan leaves before I went into flower. And then they were getting a little bit bushy, and sun leaves are usually the second ones that come out. Sometimes the higher ones, they'll have trichomes around the base when you pull them out. I try to leave everything with trichomes because I'm going to wash that later, make bubble hash. So I'll save that. But I did. I went in there and pulled some more stuff off. As you can see, the tent is, even though they're small plants, it's like more packed than I normally would have it, just because I'm like, okay, how many can I run to test these? Because I want to hit that number. And
Right.
I really couldn't fit one more in there. So it worked out great. But that's leaf stripping, and that helps too with again, humidity. If you have too much humidity, less leaves, they sweat less, so less transpiration. It's kind of a desperation move, but it can make a little bit of a difference if you have a really packed tent.
Yeah, that's an easy man. It's just labor. You just have to invest labor, and you can really reduce humidity by stripping some leaves towards the end. Once you get really close to the end, it's really hard to worry. You don't really have to worry so much about doing stress to the Hermie, the plant out, because it doesn't have a lot of time to produce a lot. So those last couple of weeks, if you want to get in there and that's when I like to, when they start to yellow out, where they're more than 50% yellow, I'll start stripping them out, just because I'm thinking, yeah, I want that. I want less leaves in the way, more airflow. I'm worried about maybe possible, issues with mold or something coming up. So with it being cold outside in my environment anyway, you have to be really cautious of that. And the best way to control that is just remove leaves, because the leaves are transpiring water into the air. They're perspiring water into the air, coming out their stomata. And it's actually water pressure. So if you take that leaf off, it's not shooting water into the air right there anymore.
I like that you mentioned the 50% yellow too, because that's how I feel in general about like defoliation. Like I see both sides of the argument. Typically, the two sides of the argument, to paraphrase, is one, they're solar panels, and the other side is your buds need more light. So in between is there's a happy medium. But 50% yellow, I kind of like to use that as a reference, because there's a certain point where there's a sink source relationship. When a leaf is nice and green and healthy, and the chlorophyll is photosynthesizing, it's producing sugars and carbs which feed the plant. So at that point, it's a source. But when it's 50% yellow, it's already, if it can translocate nutrients to the top, it's already pretty much done that. But now it's more of a sink of energy. So that's when I like to get rid of it. Then I'm like, yeah, pull the damn thing off.
And older leaves even too. I feel like they're less efficient than new leaves. So I would take an older leaf over a new leaf and remove that. But I like how you said that they take the nutrient. It's like a nutrient sink. They're taking the nutrient from it. I look at that the same way. It's like, it's telling me that's the plant's picking. It's like, no, this leaf is not that great, so let's rob nutrients from it so it doesn't photosynthesize. It's not as useful. I'm not making that decision. The plant's showing me that, because it's taking from that leaf. So I let it take about 50%. Then, like you said, I don't feel like, I think it's more of a detriment to the plant being there than it is there at that point. And that's when it's not elegant, but I always like 50% fucked up or more, and it's gone.
Hey, it works for me, man. Works for me. And then this kind of ties into it too, and is the last question that I had Star here. Galaxy Solutions, big ups to you. Purple stems, and this is actually one of the topics I've seen you covered on the Cheap Home Grow show, where you have a good panel of people there. Do you want to real quickly plug that show? Because that's another one I watch and love. So please,
yeah. That's the OG, man. That's the OG show. I love that show, and we don't promote ourselves nearly enough. But it's the Cheap Home Grow show on the Growing with My Fellow Growers YouTube channel. It's so hard to remember that, but it's kind of more of a science-based show where we go through. Lately, I really enjoy going through either articles that we find, scholarly articles, or even white papers and studies. And a lot of times, one of the ones that I think the most fun are kind of picking apart their methods. We go to the methods of these studies, and when they're trying to say one thing or another, and say, look at what they grew, look how they grew, and see if that could affect the results or whatever. We try to get to the bottom of, did they truly find something here, or did they not find something here? So it's kind of fun stuff that we do there. Otherwise, ask questions from the chat, and we like to answer those grow questions. We do that a lot, and we've also on that show started letting people come up, usually in the second half of the show. Not every show do we get a chance because we'll get lost in a subject sometimes, but a lot of times we try to get people on to show some of their grows and ask questions, and we try to help them. So it's a really fun show. But yeah, purple stems. I mean, it could be a couple things. It's crazy about cannabis how it always could be like 5 different things, right? And,
right.
That's always fun. I've noticed that a lot of times it's I feel like that most of them that I see now is light intensity. People are running really high intense lights, more intense than their plants can really handle. What the plant will do with high intense light is they try to ramp. It's like the barrel analogy with the different slats at different levels. When you increase light, the plant tries to utilize that light. Well, the metabolism increases, and now it's low in a nutrient because you fed it like, the light levels were normal, not too intense. So if you had enough CO2 to support that, and you have enough light to support that, but you don't have enough minerals to support that, you're going to start seeing things like red stems is a perfect example. You can start seeing that. It mimics like a phosphorus deficiency. But then there could be things in the soil where, my light levels are fine. I checked them. They're at, 800 ppm. So it can't be light levels. It should be fine. My CO2's at 400. So that's normal. That's ambient CO2. So it can't be, something to do with CO2 and the metabolism of the plant. It should be fine. Well, then I would start looking at mineral. Like, do we have a lockout or something? Is it truly a potassium, or a phosphorus deficiency? Or is it, I have plenty of phosphorus in my soil, but I've put so much magnesium and calcium in my soil that I've completely locked out phosphorus. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's the fun part of growing that scares people away from it. But those are all things you learn just out of experience, having to run into those issues and then trying to do what you can to correct it. But my first advice for people, if they have, crazy purpling stems and you feel like it's an issue that you want to correct, because a lot of people just run with it and say, fuck it, it's fine. Is dim your lights a little bit and try to run with the lights dimmed a little bit and see if it doesn't improve. Or flip with them a little bit shorter, and keep them a little further away from the lights and see if that might help. It might just be too intense of light that you're running on them.
And I've definitely seen that myself. I've seen there's 3 common thoughts behind it, and anybody who says it has to be one over the other is wrong. But like you said, the light intensity. And I've experienced that, and it's shown me as an example of when sometimes you have leaves overlaying each other, and this bottom leaf, the exposed part gets purple because plants will add that anthocyanin as kind of like a sunscreen to protect itself from light intensity. But if you lift this top leaf up, perfectly green where it was covering. I've seen that multiple times, and to me, I'm like, okay, well, that to me, since I don't definitively know the answer, I could see that explaining it for some purple stems. And then also, the mineral issue deficiencies, that's another issue or potential that comes up in the conversation. And, I tend to believe that's true as well, because when we all started running the LEDs, switching from the HPSs, we're like, why do we have to add more CalMag? That's where all the CalMag jokes practically came from. I feel is we're running LEDs now, and it's actually the light is drawing different minerals. And you mentioned phosphorus. There's an antagonistic relationship there. And sometimes if you add too much of that CalMag, you can lock out the phosphorus. And then you're like, there is a relationship between this and that and the stems. And I've kind of seen that with nutritional. And this one, it probably does go back to nutritional. And I guess the third one before I get to that is genetics. Some, genetics just do that. Whatever they will. That seems to be I have less examples of that in my life than the other 2, but I have seen examples of it. So those are 3 good reasons for it. But the purple stems on this one, it was interesting because if you looked at the bottom, when I pan down, everything on the bottom is nice and green. And if the buds weren't as filling out as they are now, you would see that the top part is also green. That it's weird. It's like the rings on a trees, but that like stretch of purple
Yeah.
was when I went on vacation and I had the house
Okay.
sitter. And if anybody watches my channel, they know what my house sitter does to plants. That purple like section is while they were here watching the plants. And they didn't get watered properly like they do every time. And again, when things are underwatered, that tends to lock up nutrients in the soil. So yeah, back to a mineral imbalance, like you were saying. So I've kind of seen a lot of reasons for it, and those tend to be the three main ones that I hear tossed around.
Right. And a lot of times it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? To me, a lot of people
Yeah,
I
yeah,
find are perfectionists, and I get caught up in it as well, wanting to be perfect with everything. But you know, it's still medicinal. It's still really don't. It hurts my heart sometimes. I'll get a message and say, "I threw this whole harvest away because I had fungus gnats." I'm like, "Why? You know what are you doing? You know, you just threw
yeah.
away all this medicine. You know." Fungus gnats aren't that terrible, man. You still have some good bud there. Now, if it was mold, I can understand that. Yeah, throw that away. That's bad for your health. But man, yeah. So don't
Yeah.
kick yourself too much. You see some red stems, it's not like detrimental to your buds. Yeah, it's a sign that it wasn't perfect grow. But even the imperfect grow is way better than most things you get at the dispensary. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Well said there. Yeah, it's not a life ender. It's not nests of spider mites in your top buds. It's completely doable. And don't get rid of it. And we should probably give these genetics away. Put out a good luck y'all from Broken Scepter. He is the one who contributed a whole lot of these wicked genetics for us to give
Oh
away,
yeah. Shout out
as
Broken
long with
Scepter,
some
man. Thank you.
others. Yeah, shout out. Let's do this. All right, 95. Good luck, everybody. Let's see here.
Good
Who's the
luck.
winner gonna be? I didn't enter this time. I always do. Once I won. David Bryden, right
David
on.
Bryden, congratulations, man.
Heck yeah. Always in chat too. I love when people I always see win. So
Me,
David
my favorite.
Bryden, Wicked Genetics, the Camsicle. And again, just hit me up through Instagram. Just send me a DM and we will get that all coordinated. And again, shout out Broken Scepter. Thank you for hooking the community up, man. I appreciate that. Everybody does too. I know that much. So have fun growing these. And we're actually getting towards the 2 hour mark already. Which time
Easy to
flies when
do,
you're
man.
having fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll do one more. We'll do one more giveaway before the end of the show. But I kind of want to talk for a couple minutes at least. Get a few things in. What is Spartan Grown doing next? What are you looking forward to?
Oh man. Well, I'm looking forward to some things I can't talk about yet, but that's kind of big in my life. But I will get to that eventually. But as far as what I've been doing, I'm really enjoying the pheno hunter in me, man. That's my biggest thing, is I love searching, and so I'm loving these pheno hunts, these big, larger pheno hunts that me and Baked kind of teamed up doing. You know, the first one was triple burger. We've had some of that processed by Frugroli, and that's already come back, and I've already showed that off, and that's exciting stuff. And then the next up is the Spartan Puke, which is my cross of Vortex to Donnie Burger, and they're doing really well. They're in 3-gallon cocoa pots, and that's going to be the final pots. So we have 20 of those. So it'll be 20 different phetos that we're searching, 4 lights. So it'll be 5 per light and 2 tables. So that's going to be really fun to search through and see what we get, the unique rancid smells and things that we can get out of the GMO heavy cross. But I'm hoping that like the mango, you can get kind of the mango funk out of the Vortex to mix with the GMO funk. And it's just, I've been getting all kinds of awesome reports from some testers. Shout out to Lone Star Larf. He's the one that named it Spartan Puke because of my story
Nice.
about how Vortex made me puke, and how Donnie Burger was one of the strongest hybrids I've ever smoked. And, but I hated the flavor so much. I don't like, you know, I'm not a GMO like my buddy Big Pona is. I love the high. I love the high of GMO. I don't love the flavor of GMO.
Right.
And this, I was hoping for that high with an improved flavor. And I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be funky. It's going to be crazy. And I'm getting a ton of good feedback from people growing it out. So I love that.
That's that's cool, and that
So it
is
turns
the
out
fun
bringing out
part
my
about
crosses.
growing.
Yeah, I made a bunch of crosses. I made the Spartan Puke. I made the Snow Devil, which is a snow cane cross to the Vortex. I hit my Mac 1 with some Vortex pollen. I don't know if it took or not, but that's fun. I'm playing with that. So that's, I guess, super new. And yeah, just growing more, popping more seeds. I'm really hoping to pop newberry seeds soon in my home garden, which is an old DJ Short cross.
A newberry.
Yep,
Not
newberry.
blueberry.
Not
Newberry.
blueberry. Newberry. Yep. It's
awesome.
a TJ strain. Yeah. Yep. So I'm super stoked for that one.
Yeah, he's one of the few breeders out there that can really say he's got like stabilized like F1 hybrids of certain things. Or true breeding. That's the word.
Well documented.
Yeah.
His lines. He's always done a good job with that and keeping that public and impressive. So the blueberry is obviously very, very well known. So I thought, hey, yeah, he wanted to do something new with it. This was back. I mean, these are older seeds. So, but when he made this, he wanted to do something new with it, and he tried something new, and he really liked to put it on the market. So how could I not want that? So I've got it, and I can't wait to get into them.
Play with the toys. Yep. Well, real quick here, I want to put up one more time. Again, that fundraiser going on right now for Mr. Toad. Just help him raise the roof. Again, he's given us all countless genetics. We've given away probably at least 20 packs of his on the show. So if you can, if you want, $5, $10, anything, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just send him a, hey, I'm thinking of you, brother. Link is in the chat now. So put that up. I'm reaching in. Man, sometimes you get freebies and you want to keep them for yourself, but nope. Nope, not going to do that. Another pack we're going to give away today is this one right here, since we've been talking about it the whole time, GMO. This is Dirty Laundry, which is a GMO BC1 F3. So back cross 1 F3 GMO. Back cross.
Okay, so they took a back cross and then they F3'd it.
F3'd it. Okay, thank you for helping me work that one out there. And these are Fem Autos from 2022, and the company is Mycophyte Solutions.
Cool.
And you can find them at Grown Higher.
I love the stamps. I love the stamp packaging. That's cool.
There we go. Yeah, everything like seems to be like compostable and natural about this packaging too, which is cool. And I mean, if you kind of look at, the logo there, definitely in tune with the earth. And then we've got their Mycophyte Solutions.
That's awesome. There. I love that for packaging.
Yeah, so we're going to give these away, and actually let me do that blank stare into the camera as I'm on a opposite screen trying to enter data. Pull up this. I'll put their name in there. I want to do, Mycophytes. Make you guys work for this one.
Work, man. It's free.
Mycophyte Space.
Everybody, believe me, nobody minds, man, because they know they have a chance for some free seeds. They don't care what you do. You just do it. They're willing to hang out for it.
All right, so here we go. Let's put this up here, and like I said, we're gonna make you work for this one, everybody. But Mycophyte Solutions, again, it's badass to see them contributing some free seeds, and this one again came the way of Broken Scepter, Grow Scepter. Broken Scepter in chat today. So GMO back cross 1. So they popped a pack of GMO. They took one of them. No.
They took GMO, which is a cut, and then they took that cut and they selfed it. They gave you the, or what does it say? BX? Does it say BX?
It says BC. BX. Now, it's usually BX, but I have seen BC for back cross before.
Okay, if it's a back cross, then that would that would insinuate that it had a Muller of the cut somehow. Going
Yeah.
back to it, which maybe they just don't understand that GMO is a cut, and maybe they think that garlic cookies, maybe it's a garlic cookies back cross and not a GMO back cross. That would make sense, because GMO is like GG4. It's a cut.
It's a cut. Yeah, there were no seeds. There is no dad. There is no who's your daddy. Maury Povich can't even find them, so don't try.
It's a pheno of garlic cookies. I would say you could grow up, you could probably pop a pack of garlic cookies and maybe find GMO. That's not impossible.
Oh, GMO. Okay, not GG4
Yeah.
though. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, GMO. I'm sorry.
It'd be funny if there was just a strain called BC1 that we are not aware of. Like that would be great. It's from British Columbia. It's the #1 British Columbia strain. Oh, I don't know. We'll have to
whatever. That's the lineage.
Yeah, that's the fun of finding out. And too, again, you know, I like it when breeders will put their contact info on the package, because this one's right here. They're at Growing Higher on Instagram would be my assumption. But yeah, that'd be hilarious if BC1, it's just the F3 of that, because we're already talking GMO and the R2D2s and the C3POs of the world. So you never know with cannabis names.
That is the interesting thing. There's not like any standard. Maybe someday there'll be some kind of standard, but for now, it's just wide open Wild West with names, and some are pretty out there, and some are nice and descriptive.
Yep. Like, I mean, it was easier in the older days. Like I said, that Agent Orange and Jack's Cleaner, I crossed it, called it Agent Jack. Well, gee, okay, you can get to the, the parents through that.
That's the first thing my brain goes to if I make a cross. That's the first thing my brain goes to when trying to think of a name is, okay, how can I incorporate the 2 parent plants into the name to give people an idea of what this is? I love that.
Yeah, because, you know, I've always approached it from like a medicinal standpoint. And again, if, you know, everybody's body is different, so you can't say, you know, GMO is the end all be all for headaches. But once you find something as a person that like you enjoy or you find benefits from, I've always been curious, what are the parents? Because maybe this is a muted version of what one of the parents can actually offer me. So that's why in my mind it's been important.
So I'm kind of on the lookout for a TGA strain called Space Queen, because it's on a lot of the TGA strains that I like. It's the parent plant, Space Queen. So yeah, if I could find a dusty cabinet with some Space Queen, I'd be happy.
Nice. Now, nothing's coming to the top of my head like Durban Poison was, but I'll write that down. Space Queen. See who's got what out there. So again, there's a lot of TGA fans and heads out there. Dewey, I look like Mike K's friend Dewey. That would be awesome. Everybody has doppelgangers out there, and a few of them. And I mean, who's to say who is the doppelganger? But it exists, man. That's a weird phenomenon in life. You see people, you're just like, if I didn't know better, I'd almost ask you if you were this person, but you're not. I will say that I did see Common in the airport in Chicago when I was going through, though. It was Common. He was getting a little VIP ride on the cart, so he didn't have to stop and talk to people and take pictures.
That's cool. That's still cool to be able to say you saw him in person, you know?
Yeah. He's driving by, and that man has the, like, most perfectly sculpted beard always, ever. So I was like, definitely that was him.
Dude, I was at a Michigan State Spartan football game. This was years and years ago. And there was a guy there that had like the most perfectly shaped beard. It was like a Spartan beard, and it was like cut all square. And I was like, all right, man, I got some beard envy. That's some fucking good shit right there.
Respect.
Absolutely, man.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. All right, let's go up here. 87 in here for the Mycophyte Solutions. Yeah, you know what? Mycophyte, that's a word I've never played in Scrabble. That next time.
That's a good one, Mycophyte. Wow. Yeah, look at the eyes. 2 eyes.
I know. You freaking rake some points on that one. That's my geek brain going there again. I'm like, ooh, a Scrabble word. No. Okay. Let's give away these beans here. Good luck, everybody. 87 of you in there. Let's draw. And again, if you are the winner, just let us know in chat where you are from, if you're US, Canada, or otherwise. Fruit and gas. Congratulations.
Yes. Man, that's for some
Yeah.
reason challenging for my brain to read.
I
Congratulations.
you know the terpene wheels that have like different like herbal and then just like floral and
Yes.
all of that.
That's what that looks like.
His graphic reminds me of that terpene wheel that you'd always see like in the
Yeah,
stores.
that's what that looks like. That is
Yeah.
cool. I've got
Wonder
2
if
or 3
that
of those
is.
saved on my desktop. I love popping those up and smoking something new and then looking at it and be like, okay, how would I describe this? It's fun to have like that help to make your brain move in one direction or another.
Yeah, really it is helpful. And I try to read a bunch of different publications, and there's a few people that um, are just so good with their words that I like listening to the way they describe different things, and
Some
it helps
cool is good
me.
that way.
Yeah. And then there are some people who take it like too overboard. They're like,
Super
it's
flowery.
like a vintage fart bottled in a 32-degree wine cellar in the
Kissed by an
autumn.
angel in autumn.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
It could go a little too far sometimes. So
Yeah,
there is a fine line. There is a fine line to that. Yeah. So I guess I should tell a dad joke.
Always tell.
So
That sounds awesome.
speaking of things that just go too far, why did the football coach go to the bank?
Why?
To get his quarterback.
Oh, how did I not know that? Pretty good.
Why did the cowboy adopt a wiener dog? Because he wanted to get a long little doggy.
A long little dog. I like it. I like
And then
that.
speaking of cowboys, what do you call a happy cowboy?
A happy cowboy. What?
A jolly rancher.
Oh.
Thank you. We're
Nice.
losing viewers. No, I'm just joking. Hopefully.
That's why they
Hopefully we're
come.
not
That's
losing
why they
viewers.
tune in. They just stay for that, man.
That's why I saved it for the last. That's, you got to stay for the dad jokes. The beans are free. The information is there. But no, they come for the dad jokes.
Exactly.
Oh,
They have
shit.
side bets. What dad jokes can they be today?
Right? On a scale of 1 to 10. Oh, God, I heard. Oh, I wish I could remember it. Manderson sends me some really good dad jokes. God, I wish I could remember. Oh.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
tune in
I
next.
Google it on YouTube, or I watch it on YouTube, and just that's what I smoke to, and watch them do the dad jokes back and forth. And the first one to laugh loses. That's the best. I love that.
There's 2 guys on the dock in particular that get me pretty good sometimes. There's they're the one I'm trying to remember right now. They said it the other day, and I genuinely bust out laughing because I hadn't heard it before. I wasn't expecting it. I was just like, oh, yeah, that's coming next episode, guys. Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks you get this mayhem. But thanks for tuning in to this mayhem, and thanks for having fun in chat and keeping the conversation in chat and being helpful to other people and asking good questions, because that's definitely what we're here for. A lot of good minds, a lot of good experience, and good people. So thank you guys for hanging out. And Spartan, dude, thank you very much for taking 2 hours out of your day. I know you've got something else coming up tonight, right? Or are you busy?
Oh yeah, I got the Spartan. Spartan doesn't stop going to shows, man. I got the Grandmaster level show, one of my favorites to be on. That should be on tonight. It's usually starts at 9, maybe 9:15. Sometimes it starts a little bit later, but that's on YouTube as well, and that starts usually right around 9 o'clock Eastern time or a little bit later. But that one's kind of a little bit more centered a lot on more bigger size grows. So I don't hate to say commercial, because there's some guys out there that are not commercial,
Right.
that are doing it big size grows too. So
it gives it a bad name. There is something implied when we say it's a commercial grow.
no, I love the commercial
But,
guys out
yeah.
there. I was one of those guys, so I love that. The
Me
people
too.
out there growing, that's cool. Growing for a living, that means you're a professional grower. Whether anybody wants to argue with you, you're still a professional grower. Keep doing it and keep growing, man. Keep growing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And where can they find you personally? Like, do you any good social medias? I got your Instagram down in the show notes. So if people want to find you there, they can click.
I
Best
appreciate that.
place.
That's the best place for me is Instagram. It is still a little wonky. I miss messages there sometimes. If you don't hear back from me, shoot me an email. That's the best. I'll get to that. It's the spartangrown@gmail.com. And yeah, I can help you with all your questions there.
Awesome. Right on. Well, this has been a fun show. It's a good show. And I feel like we barely even started, dude. There's so much good stuff we could talk about. And I love your input because, like we said, man, if you think you know everything, you're wrong. So it's nice to talk to other people and learn. So I appreciate that.
I love it, man. That's what's so fun about growing. There's so many, always more to learn, and that's what makes it fun and always interesting.
Yep. All right, everybody in chat, you guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Always fun stuff coming up on this channel. Keep that, locked, as the kids say. Actually, they probably moved on from keep it locked because that's what I used to say when I was a kid. Keep it locked. That means stay here. So there's that. And next Tuesday, like I mentioned earlier, interview with Joe Keith Pickett of the Cornbread Mafia. That's going to be over on the Future Cannabis Project, 3 p.m. West Coast, 6 p.m. on the East Coast, with Nick Risden as a special co-host. He's from the same area as the Pickett boys, and it'll be a good time. So thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Now.
Yes.
Shout out to Nick.
Shout out. He's a Spartan fan too, damn it. That's all right. You guys are cool. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good night. And we'll catch you next time. See ya.